crazy stuff happened in the year 2001 that got overshadowed by 9/11. The front page story in a lot of papers on the morning of Sept. 11 was about a Houston mom who drowned her 5 children in a bathtub. Congressman Gary Condit, having an affair with 24-year-old intern Chandra Levy, who went missing and was later found murdered. On Feb 2001, FBI agent Robert Hansen was arrested for selling classified info to Soviet and Russian intelligence agencies. He'd been conducting this espionage since 1979. I feel like it was big news for like a month and died down once he was thrown in federal supermax prison. I always sort of linked the two, his arrest and 9/11, since they happened the same year. A hang glider accidentally crashed into the Statue of Liberty. A huge investigation revealed that the McDonald's Monopoly campaign was frauded since 1989 and had almost no legitimate winners. One guy was giving winning pieces to friends and family, and later, the mafia. When this broke, it was mere weeks before 9/11, so it got quickly overshadowed. Edit double-checking my facts. It went to trial on September 10th. Wild. George W. Bush issued an executive order banning federal funding for research on any new embryonic stem cell lines going forward. He interrupted evening TV and did a live address to the nation from the Oval Office to announce it. This was on August 10th. His next address to the nation was on September 11th. I lived where the anthrax hit in 2001, just days after 9/11. They had to close down our post office, and for weeks there was no mail. Then finally bills came radiated and in plastic bags. You couldn't open any of the mail, it was just stuck together. And this was back in the days before you could pay bills online. The McDonald's Monopoly scandal. The FBI uncovered this massive network of people involved in claiming all the prizes that were being stolen by the head of security at the company McDonald's had hired to run the game. I recall the dot-com bust being in full swing. Lots of companies going under and layoffs. Mad cow disease. Michael Jordan coming out of retirement for the second time. Aliyah plane crash. In summer of 2001, Fox aired a documentary-styled reality show called Murder in Small Town X. The finale aired just a week before 9/11. The winner of the first and only season was a firefighter, and he was one of the first responders at the World Trade Center that was killed. His body wouldn't be discovered until 2 months later. With so much else that happened on 9/11, one of the victims being a reality TV star was surprisingly rarely brought up. September 7, 2001, US Govt announces they won't break up Microsoft as a monopoly. Forgotten in Rumsfeld's speech about the missing funds, the clearest and most important transformation is from a bipolar Cold War world, where threats were visible and predictable, to one in which they arise from multiple sources, most of which are difficult to anticipate, and many of which are impossible even to know today. Also, the purpose of the speech was to cut military spending and shift some military control of logistics and base infrastructure to the private sector. The murder of Henryk Siwiak. He's known as the last person killed in NYC on 9/11/2001, right before midnight, and it wasn't related to the terror attacks. He was gunned down in Brooklyn when he mistakenly went there to start a new job. His murder remains unsolved. Wasn't that Chandra Levi lady taking up most of the headlines at the time? August 2001, Robert Courtney was arrested. He was a pharmacist who decided to dilute cancer meds for personal profit. They couldn't officially label him a serial killer since the victims had cancer, but he diluted prescriptions for 4,200 patients. The movie Zoolander flopped, relatively speaking, at the box office because it came out right after 9/11. Cantor Fitzgerald Brokerage was under investigation of prolific sexual misconduct and harassment, if I recall correctly. Then the plane practically wiped them out. It was a huge year for movies. Lotta and Harry Potter debuted. The first Shrek, Planet of the Apes, Ocean's 11, Legally Blonde, A Beautiful Mind, Black Hawk Down, The Fast and the Furious, Monsters Inc., Princess Diaries, Moulin Rouge, and Training Day, and more. The Boston Globe had all the information ready to release, uncovering the rampant pedophilia being covered up by the Catholic Church. After 9/11, they decided to wait to release it. Tui Trang, Yellow Power Ranger from NPR, passed away in a car accident Sept 3, 2001. I was a big NPR fan, and I don't remember hearing about that. Mariners won 116 games. In March 2001, Drew Bledsoe signed a then-record 10-year, $103 contract. During the second game of the season, September 23rd, he got hit so hard he almost died. His replacement went on to become the greatest QB of all time. The Boston Globe did their massive, explosive investigation into sexual abuse in the Catholic Church, and around the time of 9/11, they were all set to release their report. They decided to wait, and good thing they did, because it most likely wouldn't have been as impactful as it ended up being. Steve Austin aligned himself with Vince McMahon. When President Bill Clinton left the office, he was interviewed in Australia and was asked a question about international terrorism. His response: "I'm just saying, you know, if I were Osama bin Laden, he's a very smart guy. I've spent a lot of time thinking about him, and I nearly got him once. I nearly got him, and I could have killed him, but I would have to destroy a little town called Kandahar in Afghanistan and kill 300 innocent women and children, and then I would have been no better than him. And so I didn't do it." This interview happened on September 10th, 2001. My mom died on September 8th, 2001. My 10th birthday was September 6th, 2001. Needless to say, I could not have cared less about 9/11. One thing that surprisingly a lot of people don't know, I didn't, at least for a couple years. My home province of Newfoundland, on 9/11, no questions asked, told every airplane in the sky to land in Newfoundland, and then the town they landed in, people took care of them until they could go home. But some people actually fell in love and got married after meeting in the town. There was an investigation into Bernie Madoff in 2001 that had to be postponed, which allowed him to further commit fraud until the Great Recession. The disappearance of Chandra Levy. It was the top story, then dropped off the news completely.